morning from Central Portugal. It's a lovely temperature this morning. It's not going to be quite as hot as yesterday with the insane 41 degrees, but it will be 38. But somehow I feel like I'm used to 38 now. It doesn't seem so bad when you're comparing it to 41 degrees. So it's been pointed out to me that I didn't introduce the cat in my last video, or in any video really. He's just kind of been roaming around, hanging out with me. And my intention was to introduce him this morning, but he's scarpered off somewhere, so I don't know where he is at this exact moment, but through the magical powers of editing, I'm gonna bring him to you. So this is Mikey. I call him Mikey. His name's actually Michael. He had a brother who sadly died as a kitten. His name was George. And I'm watching Mikey while my friend is away in the UK. And my friend just lives around the corner, and so it made sense for me to just sort of take over foster cat duties, and I'm watching him for a couple months. So I'm really liking the company. He's very snuggly, and he's a pretty cool little dude. It's nice to be able to have this little guy hanging around, and it's nice to be a foster cat parent and just to try it out. And I think I like it. I think I definitely will get a cat or two in the future. So I'm going to finish my coffee, and then we're going to go for a walk down into the garden where I'm going to take you on a little tour. Sadly, the summer garden is nowhere near as lush as the spring garden. So I'm going to start the video with a nice lush harvest from July. Did some filming of that at the beginning of the month. I've also been keeping track of my harvests. So after that, we'll talk about how much food I've actually taken out of the garden so far. And then we're going to make some tomato chutney. And then we'll go for a wander around the garden where I'll tell you about my tough decision. And then that'll be that. I'll do a little bit of work down there, and then that'll be the summer garden tour over, and hopefully things will continue to stay alive in this heat. I'll check in again with the garden tour in the autumn. So let's take a look at some fun footage of me harvesting stuff in July, and then we'll go from there. I think my garden has been pretty good to me so far. That harvest, all that footage was from just one morning, and then I've had a few other pretty amazing harvests along the way as well. And like a giant nerd, I've been keeping track of what I've harvested. So let's see what the garden has given me so far in 2022. I bring you back to the handy whiteboard. So 16 kilos-ish of cucumbers, almost 2 kg of beets, jalapenos, 644 grams, tomatoes, about 7.5 kilos, zucchini, just over 1 kilo, and other chilies, about 139 grams. So the cucumbers are basically done. I think there might be a couple plants that are just barely hanging on, or maybe they're babies and they'll surprise me later. I don't know, but I've kind of given up on the cucumbers. I do have some pretty cool loofah things happening down there though. The beets are gone. Got a lot of jalapenos on the way, got lots of tomatoes still on the way, and lots of other chilies on the way. The zucchini also done, and I actually have harvested a couple more squash, but I haven't weighed those guys, so I'd say a kilo of other miscellaneous squash is another thing my garden's given, plus loads of strawberries that I didn't weigh, and a few raspberries that I just eat off the plant, probably a few more random little bits, some herbs and stuff like that. So far the garden's been pretty amazing. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of reward as well. So goodbye from today. I'm gonna come at you again in 2 seconds from tomorrow, where we're gonna make tomato chutney. And tomorrow is actually yesterday. Video editing, it's so deceptive and confusing. But anyway, you don't really need to know those details. So goodbye for now, and hello again in 2 seconds. Good morning. I'm up early to beat the heat. It's gonna be 41 degrees today, which is insane. And my only goal for the day is to fill this bowl with around 2 kilos of tomatoes and turn those tomatoes into some delicious spicy chutney. Normally I wouldn't want to be cooking in 41 degree weather, but the tomatoes are looking kind of squishy on the vine, and I really just need to get them off and turn them into something yummy so that they don't go to waste. That would be sad. Are you gonna help? And Mikey might help me out. Yeah. You gonna help me pick some tomatoes today? Gonna help me pick some tomatoes? And let's just ignore the weeds. There's lots of weeds in this garden at the moment. My mom put in a lot of hard work in May weeding, and I've let it fall into disrepair, so sorry Mom, but I'm gonna get to it this week, I promise. So I think I've got most of the tomatoes that are on the cusp. Some of them are not pretty, but it's all going into a chutney, and I think it'll be fine. I think I'll also add some of these chilies. They look a bit ferocious. The recipe calls for jalapenos, but I found that it wasn't spicy enough, so I don't actually know what these guys are, but I'm going to put some into the mix, especially since they're looking kind of wrinkly. So they might be good hidden within the chutney. I don't even know what chilies these are, but they look spicy, so I'll get a couple of these guys. So I've got these chilies as well. I thought they were jalapenos, but I'm not 100% sure. They look a little bit stubby, but I wonder if this plant was an overwintered plant. And because it was overwintered, I think I've heard that the chili peppers aren't quite as good the next year. So that could be it. They look like jalapenos to me. They just look a little stunted, and it looks like they're changing color. I feel like that's an adequate amount of spice. Let's go make some chutney. Okay, here we are in my outdoor kitchen space with this very inconveniently placed fig branch, but I think I can work around it. So I've got my tomatoes, got the chilies, got my scale for measuring stuff. Don't know if that pot will be big enough. And then we've got ginger, garlic, what I think is paprika, cardamom. The recipe calls for red onions, but I've got a mixture, a bit of cumin, sugar, brown sugar, and red wine vinegar. And this recipe is basically a one-pot wonder, so everything goes in here, bring it to a boil, and then you simmer it. So let's get started. Last one. This is very exciting. Okay, tomatoes are done. That took a long time, but that wasn't the most annoying part. The most annoying part is the onions, because they really mess my eyeballs up. But I have some onion defense that I'm hoping will work. All right, I'm ready for the onions. Onions done. Onion defense was a definite winner, so I'm going to note that for future onion encounters. Next up, let's do some chilies. I feel like that's probably too many chilies, but I've been disappointed by the lack of spice in previous chutneys, so I'm just going for it. I don't even know what some of those chilies are. They could be like insanely hot ones, but they're all going in, and I'm just gonna deal with the consequences. So I've got these guys. I don't even know what it is. It looks pretty feisty though. I'm gonna see what it tastes like. Nice flavor. Seeds are spicy, but not too bad. It's going in. Okay, that's all the chopping done. Now it's time to add the rest of the stuff. Well, that looks like a slightly horrific amount of sugar, but I think I probably needed to balance the spiciness I put in there. So hopefully it all turns out okay. The beauty of this is that it's a lot of chopping, but you basically just stick it all in one pot, bring it up to a boil, and then put it on simmer. Anyway, it's 10 a.m. That took a lot longer than I was expecting, but I'm really happy to have it in the pot, ready to go. And so here's another giant pot that is about to start to boil. Again, not ideal for this temperature, but it needs to be done. I use a method called, is it called water bathing? Where I boil the jars for 15 minutes, I think, and then that sterilizes the jars and then seals them. So then the chutney becomes shelf stable. It's what I do with my pickles and my jalapenos, and I've done it with the chutney in the past, and so far I haven't died. So I buy the jars and the lids in bulk from a website called Juvasa. It comes out pretty cheap if you buy a bunch. I prefer to buy the lids that have a little buttony thing, because then I know for sure that it's sealed. So for these 8, that I'm going to do the water bath on, I'm going to use the clicky lid. And then this will probably have just the leftovers that I'll just put in my fridge, so I'm just using a regular lid that I have a few of. These can be kind of hard to find sometimes, so hopefully I'll end up with 8 jars of shelf-stable tomato chutney and 1 big jar for myself for now. Although I think the longer you let it sit in the jar, it gets better. Whew. This is sweaty work. Yeah, definitely didn't think this through. I thought I'd be done way earlier than this, but when it's done I'll be very happy. Just waiting for the water to boil for this thing so I can put the chutney from the pot into the jars straight into the boiling water. Set the timer for 15 minutes and then I'm free. Okay, now this contraption gets lowered into the big pot with boiling water. The reason is to keep the glass off the bottom of the pot so it doesn't shatter, and also so you have handles to lift it out at the end. Oh no, handles to lower it in, and then you use this gizmo to lift them out at the end. Yeah, all of the canning supplies. They're going in the water bath now, 15 minutes, and I am going to have a 15-minute nap. As they cool, these little buttons, they should make a popping noise and pop in. And that's how you know it's sealed. I'm gonna let the flavors meld together and probably not open one until about 3 weeks from now. And I hope it's good. I did have a little sample. Doesn't seem too spicy, but we'll see how it goes as it kind of, another one sealed, as it has a chance. Yeah, anyway, I can't think. So I'm gonna go splash around in my splash pool. I'm going to then probably wet my sarong and sit in my hammock covered in a wet sarong because there is really nothing else that can be done today. It's about noon and this took way longer than I expected. I really did not want to have the water boiling at this time of day, but it is what it is, and I have 8 jars of tomato chutney, and the tomatoes are off the plants, which is the most important thing. I didn't want them to spoil. So, success. I'm saying goodbye for today. I'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully I'm a little less disheveled than I am right now. So welcome to my summer garden. At first glance, it looks sort of okay, but upon closer inspection, you'll see that like this sunflower, everything has kind of become zombified. So it's not in its former glory of the spring, which was lush, weed-free, thanks to my mom, and just amazing. Now it's a little scarier and a little less happy looking. So I'm going to take you on a walk through. We're going to talk about some stuff, and then I'll let you know about this decision that I've made after. So I think first things first, let's go through the weed forest. And these things here, I think it's, I don't know, grass seed? These bits at the top stick to everything. The cat had one stuck on his face the other day. They're just all over your clothes. And so as you can see, this is sort of a hellscape in here of sticky horribleness. That's because this is where the water tank leaks to, so it's quite lush. But I also have plenty over here, lots of weeds over here. My jalapeno bed is completely covered in weeds. And so I have a lot of work to do. Even just walking through there, I've got that guy, and I've got that guy. These freeloaders, get off. So I guess we can start with the grapes, which seem pretty lush. I don't really consider them as part of my garden because they're sort of just here. I've got a few grapes growing. I'll probably give those to a friend to contribute to his wine co-op. But I think because of the weather, they're getting a little raisiny. I have some purple ones here and then some white ones over there. And then got some zombie raspberries. These have not been getting the water that they need, as you can probably see. Not looking so healthy. Some of them are, but some of them are looking pretty sad. Ooh, I thought cucumber production had finished, so I've got this little guy here. But in general, you'll notice, maybe, if you've seen my other videos, that this is the bed where I had the aphid problem. So I had trellises here, I had lots of nice cucumbers, and then the aphids kind of took over. I gave up. The aphids won. I gave up not because of the aphids necessarily, but because something else was munching the roots of the cucumber plants. So even as I was becoming sort of victorious with the aphids, something else was destroying the plants. So I basically just decided that my time was spent better elsewhere, and I moved the trellis to a different bed, planted some different cucumbers. But I still have a few small plants that seem to be doing okay. And I've got this guy, surprise cucumber. And so I've got quite a few tomato plants that look like this. Don't know if it's a lack of water. They're still growing tomatoes, but the tomatoes look kind of weird. Yeah, so lots of plants like this. Lots of healthy plants too, but plenty of really weird looking ones as well. And so this is a jalapeno plant, as are several more in there, but they're completely overgrown with weeds. So I'm gonna see if I can tackle this today. Liberate the jalapenos. Got lots of basil plants. Some of them are starting to flower. Actually, most of them are. So I'm actually gonna tear up a bunch and make some pesto soon. I'm usually pretty good about staying on top of pruning my tomatoes. So you sort of pull out these kind of armpit bits, you know, and so the tomatoes grow straight up. Keeps them tidy. I've let my tomatoes go, you know. They are not tidy tomatoes anymore, but they're still giving fruit. And here's another zombie tomato plant. You can see it's still got some tomatoes on it, but not so many. Same over here, this one seems extra zombie-ish. And another zombie plant here, and some more basil. So this bed is tomato and basil. It's been doing pretty well, actually. Not so great with the tomatoes, not as good as some other places, but the basil's been doing well. Also, for some reason that I'll never really know, I planted tomatillos. I don't really like tomatillos. I don't really know what to do with them. I've made a green salsa in the past. I didn't like it, so I'm not sure why I planted this. I do like how they grow. I think they're kind of cool. So I might harvest these and make some sort of a green salsa. This sunflower's seen better days, but he's still a little bit perky. And then we've got these guys that are on the way still, and this guy who's about to open up. And then this happy little dude with the bee on it. Hello. I love sunflowers. I think they're awesome. I'm looking forward to harvesting the seeds from their face, ripping the seeds out of their face, and then planting them all over my land next year. I just think they're beautiful. They make me smile. And yeah, I just think they're wonderful things, even when they don't look quite as happy as they once did. And so this is the bed that was originally overgrown with grass. I basically dug all the grass out and planted it with chili and marigolds and some cucumbers. It hasn't really done that well. This chili plant seems pretty small. It's got some flowers, but it's not doing much. And then the cucumbers never really did much either. And then I've got a chili plant kind of buried over here as well. So, you know, it's a pretty average looking bed. One thing I've been really happy with is my marigolds. I think they look beautiful. I've got a few different colors around. They're good for the garden. The bees like them. I think they're a really good companion plant, so they've been really successful. More successful than this zombie cucumber. Although it did give me a few cucumbers, so, you know. Oh, and there's another one, but this guy looks very sad. Sad cucumber. So this is tansy, apparently, and I don't like this flower. I think it looks ugly. It grows really big and weedy, and I'm not a fan. It ain't no marigolds, you know? I've got a couple of them. I don't know what their role is in the garden. I don't think they look very good. They probably do something, but yeah, I probably will get rid of these guys. I don't even know what this is. It's a weed. It's got some berries on it. It's kind of taken over the edge of my blueberry patch. And the blueberries are definitely not looking good. They basically have just been little wrinkly balls. Little wrinkly balls all season. They never matured into actual blueberries. And the plants have never really fleshed out. So I don't know if it's the soil needs amending or what, but not happy with the blueberry patch this year. And so these are some green beans that I basically stopped watering. I put them up on a trellis. I've got some more over here. I actually stopped watering these ones as well. I don't know, the beans are challenging for me. I never seem to harvest them in time. I always seem to get to the bean after it's sort of past its use-by date, and it's really tough and gross. So I kind of gave up on them. I think I just need to plant them in a more accessible area. They were kind of hidden behind the asparagus and some other stuff, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll plant beans next year or not. And then I've got my kiwis. They're struggling a little bit with this heat, but you can see, you know, there's more green on here than brown, so that's good. And then over on the other side, same thing. I give these guys quite a lot of water. So this guy's looking a little crusty, but he's also got some green bits as well, so he probably wants a drink. And then in this bed, I've got a few tomato plants that never really did anything. Another tansy, don't like you. Some other tomato plants that got pretty big, but again, this one seems to only have made these 2 green tomatoes, and it's quite a large plant, so it's a mystery. Same with this guy, total zombie. But that little basil plant's doing well, and, oh, I've got this zucchini over here. I'm gonna put him in a stir fry this evening, so I can be bothered cooking. Grew a little bit weirdly, but generally okay. And then I've got a couple squashes. I'm not gonna pick this guy now. I know he's supposed to be small. This plant looks like it's seen better days. And then I've got a squash down here. I'm gonna get him as well. So this is my hugelkultur bed. If you want to know more about this, I did a video previously about making this guy, which basically involves digging a big hole, filling it with logs and other stuff. So you can watch that if you want. Ooh, another surprise cucumber. This bed's done really well, and the most exciting thing to me in this bed is the loofah. Check out the size of this thing. Here's my hand for scale. It's pretty enormous. I'm trying to keep it off the ground. These guys need to dry in the vines in order to actually turn into usable loofahs, so hopefully he does okay. Lots of weeds in here as well. There's a chili plant in there. Ooh, another loofah. That's pretty cool. And the chilies over here. So a lot of action is happening inside the hugelkultur bed. I'm pretty happy with it. Got a couple more loofahs over here, which are looking pretty good. Much smaller, a little bit weird looking at the bottom, but at least they're hanging from the trellis, so hopefully they'll dry out nicely. And I've got some more chilies. I think these are some chilies that my friends gave me. And some more chilies. This plant's looking very happy. And yeah, some chilies in there, some tomatoes, more zombie tomatoes, more chilies. So there's a lot happening in my hugelkultur bed, and I'm quite happy that I took the time to make it. It was quite labor intensive, but I think I can see the difference with how healthy things are in this bed versus some other places. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. And this is where I set up my other cucumber bed after I lost out to the aphids and whatever was eating the roots in the first one. I have another loofah here. But generally, I got a few cucumbers, but it wasn't massively successful. A lot of stuff came out kind of stunted like that. But I tried, and I got some cucumbers from it, so that's good. And in amongst the weed farm, I have some kale. The kale's done really well. Very happy with the kale. I'm going to plant a lot more kale next year for sure. I eat a lot of kale, and it seems to be easy to grow. So that's basically a tour of my summer garden. It's a little crispy looking. I am quite fond of this guy here though. Really cheers me up. Ah, I do love a good sunflower. And then obviously the terror lands. This weed forest is not great. So I actually had grand plans of weeding this morning, but I think it's already too hot. So I think I'm just gonna stop it there. That was my summer tour. And the decision I've made about my garden is that I'm going to let some of it die. I'm going to sacrifice it. I need the water. I want to repair my water tank, and because I need to drain the water tank out in order to work on it, it means I have to really be careful about planning my water. And because it's been so hot and because my garden is so large, I need a lot of water for the garden. So I've decided to sacrifice some of the garden so that I don't use so much water so that I can work on my tank. The garden's actually already done really well for me. I've harvested a whole bunch of food. I've pickled a whole bunch of cucumbers. I've made a few jalapenos. I'm going to make some more soon. So I'm happy. I'm happy with garden production, but I just need to switch my focus to water tank repairs, I think. So yeah, some of the garden's going to go. It's going to be pulled out, starting probably with some of the zombie tomato plants and definitely some of the sad-looking cucumber plants. I think I might even get rid of most of the raspberries. I'm not going to get rid of the blueberries. I still have hope for them, but they're on a sugary hook, the blueberries. I'm definitely ditching the tansy. Not into those. I think they look weird. Yeah, so it could be carnage down here. I could end up sort of ripping stuff out with reckless abandon and kind of leaving myself with a bit of a clean slate, except for a few plants. I think of it kind of like a spring clean for the garden, except for in the summer, and except not really cleaning, more just destruction of my garden in the summer. So I don't know. I see it as a necessary evil. I'll probably rip up most of my basil plants and turn them into pesto as well. So I think I can probably cut my watering needs down to about half, and I think that'll really help with being able to work on the water tank. And that's my main goal at the moment, I've decided. I love these guys. They really just put a big smile on my face. Sunflowers are amazing. So that's it for today's video. That's it for the garden probably for a little while, especially since I'm about to decimate it. So it'll be mostly videos about building coming up, I think. So hopefully that's something to look forward to. I hope you enjoyed the chutney making, looking at my garden in early July, looking at my garden now, having a little tour around, and hopefully next time you see the garden, there's a lot less weeds and a lot less chaos. So, as always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.